All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, June 21st, and this is a meeting to check in on active development tasks for Backdrop, hopefully 111. Let's see, new this week in the world of Backdrop Contrib projects are a new project called CSS Grid for Cores Layouts. So thanks, Wes, for people who are tired of using Flex and want to use Grid.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No?
You could use it. There's just no reason to. I might actually put layouts in there that are hard to accomplish with Flexbox, but for now, it's just like, hey, if you want to mess with Grid, you could do it, and it falls back to Flexbox if they don't support Grid, and it still has the float fallback if they can't support that. So
nice.
It's really just some extra CSS. It's not a whole lot.
I was excited. Let's see. And then on our websites, did you, Nate, just talk about the Backdrop CMS site in the last meeting? Yeah, okay, so we don't need to go over that in today's meeting, but if you're curious about what's going on with Backdrop CMS at work, feel free to watch our design and usability meeting that happened an hour ago. The video on that. Okay, so then up next is Backdrop CMS project progress, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to turn it over to me.
Yeah, so I might skip over some things that that don't have updates this week, so that we can discuss the ones that do. But the next bug fix release is going to be 1.10.2, and the one issue that we have that is surfaced is this long-standing issue 2904 regarding database credentials, the encoding changing there. Still no updates on that this week, so I'm going to just skip over that and keep rolling. We also, of course, have the issue tracker for 1.10.2 issues. We have had a couple more items being merged in for the next release, next bug fix release. And let me see if there are. Yeah, there's currently no RTBC issues, which is always a good thing for 10.2. But there are a couple of additional pull requests out there that are RTBC, but they're either not in that. They're either for 1.11 or not tagged for a milestone. So anyway, that's great. Okay, so let's talk about 1.11. 1.11 is our next release that will be coming out September 15th, 2018. And we've got a bunch of things that we are working on, and some of them have seen some progress this week. First one that we'll discuss is tags for modules, issue number 37. This is an issue that almost got into 1.10, but we couldn't reach a compromise before that happened. No update since last week. The status is still like the pull request needs to be reworked using the new compromise, and that has a path forward. Just needs to be implemented. I think Jen is taking the lead on that one. Issue 704 is config translation, and we continue to surface this issue every week just because it is a highly important issue for us to make it so the translations can be pulled out of config files more easily. No updates this week, though we still have a pretty solid plan there in issue 704. Contact module improvements. Opie has really been going to town on contact module recently, and there's a large meta issue for contact module at 3023. Let's see, this past week we did have one of the sub-issues of that meta, 2990, which adds a new settings form to contact module that has been merged and will be in 1.11. So that's great. What that settings form includes is adds the checkbox for send a copy, send me a copy. You can turn on and off that checkbox now, which is what OP was originally hoping for. But we also combine that with some of Herbdool's excellent work to expose the rate limiting settings. That right now there's two places where rate limiting is in place on the login form and on the contact module. And we combined the rate limiting settings into this new settings form. So that kind of was a two birds with one stone type fix, which is great. There are a bunch of other sub items that are in that 3023 issue, including like turning contact module on by default and making a menu item. Some of those are going to be kind of controversial, but one that I think is a really great idea and will probably be the next one to go in is issue 3053, which is making it so that you can have the contact module make not just a page, but also a block. So you can place the contact form block on any page you want, which is a pretty common use case, I think. So that's merely an idea at this point. So there's no pull request there, but I just wanted to bring that up as a likely thing to get implemented next. Also in the category of long neglected modules that are getting some love this release is color module. Color module has a large meta at issue 1905. I think that meta actually was opened quite a while ago by Wes when we were building out the basis theme that color module is difficult to work with. And when basis was being built out, we thought that we could revamp color module at the same time, but we tabled that so that we could finish basis. And basis right now is non-colorizable, and I think that's fine that we made that compromise. But Joseph is coming back in and readdressing a lot of these issues and making them reality, which is awesome. So issue 3028 is of note that that actually does add color support to basis module using the current implementation of color module, which is great because changing color module drastically requires a lot of backwards compatibility considerations. And so just using the tool that we have and adding color support to basis seems like a great starting point. That pull request needs review. Wes came in and looked at it a couple of weeks ago saying, generally, yay. But if you could officially sign off on that, Wes, since you're in this meeting, that would be great. And post a comment just with your thoughts as to how that implementation is and if there's any color changes that you disapprove of. Let's see. Also, in the land of pull requests that need to review for color module is 1949, which 1949 is an issue that aimed to revamp the way color module does its settings entirely. And the pull request that is on there right now is not a let's revamp all of color module's user interface, but merely let's just tidy up the implementation of the form that we already have. So that is another pull request that needs review that I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but Joseph, I'm really appreciative of your efforts to make it so that color module, it gets decrufted because it's got some cruft. Yeah, and there's more issues. Some of them that have been completed and some of them have yet to be looked at. You can find the whole list in 1905. Let's see. Next issue is bringing back Node Preview, which is issue 3062. There hasn't been any updates on this issue since last week, so I won't recap it there. We still need a little bit more work on that, making it so that this new preview mechanism works with layouts. But I think more feedback would be appreciated there. If you haven't given it a shot, you can check it out. I think the live sandbox for that is up and running, so you can try out like the full node preview that adds a preview button and it takes you to a page where you can see the node that you're working on before it's actually saved in a full node page. Let's see. Something that has seen some action this past week is issue 2198, and per Doc Wilmot's request, we've added it here to the agenda, and I think it's a great issue, which is adding a media. It's really not media; it's just images. Adding an image browser to the image dialog in CKEditor. So this issue adds a view that makes it so that when you select a file, you can not only upload one, you can select a pre-existing one, which is a really great piece of functionality. Right now, I think this is only integrated exclusively into CKEditor, so only when creating content with the rich text editor, it doesn't really affect the normal file upload widget in any way. But I think that we're still having some JavaScript-related problems there, that we're getting some JavaScript error when views is using the AJAX setting. I think that's still the case. And there's some discussion about appearance there as well, how large the modal should be, how the images should be sized, how they should be displayed. So that one is currently in a needs review state, probably actually needs some work. But I think soliciting more feedback on that issue would be great, especially design and UX feedback, to get some information on or get some thoughts on if we can improve that user interface further, and if you have any ideas to fix that up. I think, yeah, it's a really really great issue though. Okay. I'll take a break here. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So that link in the agenda was to a pull request. Is there an issue that goes with it? Oh, here it is. 3134. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 3134. Sorry. Yeah, I should have said, yeah, it's issue 3134. The 2198 is the pull request number.
I was also very excited about the pull request, so it took me a minute to realize that there wasn't an issue. I'm like, I'm playing with it. It looks great. It's a huge improvement. I love it. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, major props to Graham72 and Doc Wilmot for the back and forth on that one. Graham72 has been really like just pushing forward on the CKEditor problems. He's the one that made the upload a file through the link dialog possible in 1.10. So awesome. Keep up the great work. Let's see, next item is another large meta for automatic updates, which is issue 2018, which I like to think of that as like one giant hashtag automatic updates 2018. Like it's some kind of campaign that the entire internet should get on. Of course, most software does have automatic updates, but we're working on it for Backdrop. And we've split this up into a number of smaller issues that we're trying to tackle. We probably won't get full automatic updates into the next release, but we can make some incremental improvements to make that more possible in the future. The first issue is 3105 that Jeff took a stab at a couple weeks ago, and Gregory did some reviewing on this past week. Thank you for doing that and effectively breaking everything as usual. We could use some more feedback and more testing on that one. It's difficult to test. Oh, did I actually mention what it is? It'll allowing core updates via the user interface. So just the same way that you can update contrib modules right now, where a new version of a module comes out, you just click the update button and it downloads the new versions of the module. This adds that same functionality for core. Looks like we encountered a problem where installer module does some sanity checking to make sure that all modules have a type and a name inside of them, but it looks like we have a bug where when core is updated, it's not clear if this happens for everybody, but for some people, when core is updated, some of the test.info files get parsed and the whole thing blows up, which is not good. So there's a suggestion. There's actually a cross-referenced bug that's happened in the past that we could potentially address that issue, and then it would fix this automatic updates question.
Was this with regards to the test files .info files not having a type thing?
Yeah.
Is this by design? I wanted to ask, like, is this like could they have a type and solve things, or?
They don't need one at all. And actually, the way that they're structured, .info files for tests are, they're all grouped into like categories. There's no like name of, it's not ever defining just one thing. It's always defining multiple things. So there's not one name or type for the whole thing. There could be, I suppose, but.
Could we have a type equals test or something?
We could. But we also could, Doc Wilmot pulled up issue 1294. That's the cross-linked issue. And that's merely that we should just not parse those files when we do the checking. And I think that's the sanest thing to do, because we already know that it's a test file because of its file name, because it's .tests.info. And so we should just exclude anything that is .test.info from being parsed by the installer. Thank you for finding that bug. Apparently it's been found before, but you found it all over again. Okay, another issue in which we're making some progress is package signing, which is issue 1992. This issue covers both MD5 validation to make sure that the archive that was downloaded is not corrupted in any way, and also package signing, which makes it so that if there were to be man-in-the-middle attacks or some kind of modification to our update feeds, and people decided to make backdropcms.org point at other archives of modules that were not from a valid source, that Backdrop, when it expanded those archives, would be like, hey, this wasn't officially signed. This archive was not packaged by backdropcms.org, and so I will refuse to install it, or potentially show a warning to the user saying, this package is unsafe. Are you sure you want to install it? And that is a general security improvement to make it so that the packages that are downloaded are essentially, or will be essentially, impossible to tamper with once they've been created. That one is coming along, actually. There's a lot of moving parts. It requires changing project module, backdropcms.org, and Backdrop itself. But there is a pull request stubbing out, changing all three of those pieces. The area of discussion that we're on right now is how we should actually, like, what mechanism we should use for creating the digital signature. The initial implementation was written out against Sodium, which is a library that is in PHP 7.2 for doing encryption things. JL Franklin has suggested that we use OpenSSL, which could also perform that. And we also could even use things like PGP, also has digital signing capabilities. The arguments for Sodium is basically that it's easy. The arguments for something else like OpenSSL and PGP is that they are possibly more widely available. We don't really quite know yet. And so if it turns out that using another signing mechanism is doable and secure and relatively easy, like, we might choose those over Sodium, just because Sodium requires a backwards compatibility shim for older versions of PHP. But it is available in PHP 7.2 and higher out of the box. So yeah. So anyway, discussion is happening in there. Post your comments to issue 1992.
What do you mean by more widely available?
Like it's in every version of PHP going back to like PHP 4. So like we wouldn't need a backwards compatibility shim if we went with OpenSSL. We just use what's in PHP itself. However, there's a question of, do we know that it's actually installed in people's out-of-the-box PHP installations? Because it's an optional module. So you could compile it without OpenSSL support, and then we'd be introducing a new dependency that might be uncommon. We're not sure yet.
That makes me lean towards Sodium, since it's been chosen by PHP itself. And even though we have to shim it, it seems like it would be more foolproof.
Yeah, that's exactly it, is that like OpenSSL was also chosen by PHP years and years ago, but just like PHP 7.2, it's not necessarily going to be compiled in all PHP installations. Sodium will actually have the same problem, that it also could be not compiled in PHP 7.2. However, we can shim it if we need to. So actually the shim could serve a purpose even after 7.2 becomes commonplace. So it does make Sodium compelling for that reason alone. And
it's easy.
And it's easy. And it's what the implementation is written against right now.
Yeah. So I like the fact that it's easy, and I like the fact that it's done.
Yes. Well, it's not quite done, but it's
it's more done than the others.
Right. In any case, I think it's good to continue the evaluation. If there's no progress on, looking into other options, then we'll just proceed with the one that we have. Okay, great. Also related to core updates is this peripheral issue about the profiles directory. Right now, the profiles directory just sits in the root of a backdrop install, and issue 2555 moves the profiles directory underneath the core directory so that it would get updated when the rest of core is updated. That issue needs review. Gregory, thanks for taking a look at it. I did re-roll it since you last reviewed it, so it should be good to test again. There's some discussion happening in that issue about whether or not we should make a root profiles directory that just contains a README file as well. We're soliciting more opinions on that. I'm kind of thinking it's not necessary. Others think that maybe it is necessary. I don't know. Totally open to feedback there regarding whether or not we should include an empty profiles directory or one that includes a README, just describing how it should be used. And then, go ahead.
Sorry, the thought behind that was that we have this ticket. I don't have a ticket number about creating recipes or what would be the profiles.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a sort of like a space there for contrib, and it would be a good thing to have. But there's no reason to hold the ticket back. We can add the root profiles thing later when we need it. If what you call it, tidiness is an issue now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that profiles right now aren't widely supported. We don't have them listed on backdropcms.org. We don't have a way of packaging them. And as far as I know, there aren't any, contrib profiles. And if there were a distribution, they could just make their own profiles directory and then put their distribution inside of it. If we do start supporting profiles more and we add this recipe concept, then we could just reintroduce the profiles directory at that time. Totally. Well, let's continue discussing, and then we can move forward on that one. And then eventually automatic updates themselves. Right now, we don't have a dedicated issue for the automatic updates. We could just lump that into the 2018 issue. We'll see. Yeah, sure. We can remove it for now. Sorry, we're having a little back channel discussion. Okay, and the last item that we have for 1.11 agenda of surfaced functionality is issue 285, which is better statistics tracking. And this one has been a long standing issue and discussion. The only thing that has changed since last week is that we have opened a new issue, a new sub-issue, 3168, that is the idea to separate update checking from statistics tracking. So
I have a question about this.
Okay.
So right now, our statistics tracking is happening in update module. Where do we put it instead?
Oh, you mean like where would the code go that checks for
Yeah.
wait, that sends notification or that
Would
sends
that be a
statistics?
separate module?
I would think so. Yeah. I
And
think
then
it would be a whole new module.
And then the checkbox on the installer would just enable or disable that module.
Yep.
Okay. What do you want to call it?
I think that would make people most comfortable, if it was something that they could turn off entirely at the module level rather than being a checkbox. And pulling things, like not putting more things into system module is always a good idea because that module is already kind of overloaded with a lot of functionality.
Okay. What do you want to call it? Reporting or tracking?
Phone home.
That's a cool name. I was looking right now if I'm sure that statistics as a module is taken.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't see
module.
There used to be
Yeah.
a module called statistics that
All
tracks
metrics and
statistics on your own site, but never reported back.
metrics.
So there used to be a Drupal.org module in Drupal. We could have a backdrop CMS.org module on backdrop.
Oh, interesting. Literally call the module back.
It's not very descriptive.
Metrics?
Yeah, I like metrics. I was going to say, I like that, Gregory.
Is that namespace taken?
Yes.
I'm looking now.
I feel like we should namespace it somehow, like make it be like backdrop metrics or
metrics or something. There is a Drupal project called Metrics, but it doesn't have any supported releases.
I don't know. I guess
10 years old.
Kind of like project module. It's likely that the receiving end, like we'll probably. I'm not sure if we'll put it in project module. I guess it would make sense if we put like the receiving end should probably be part of project module, just like the update checking is. But it should be a separate submodule for like, I guess, project metrics. And then the calling module, I probably wouldn't want them both to be called project metrics.
No.
If metrics is taking that, then Phone Home is a really cool name.
Or we can call it like org metrics.
Oh, what I was getting at was that project module theoretically is not backdropcms.org specific, although really, I don't know. I really feel like we could treat it as such for the most part. I mean, not very many other people are going to be running their own update servers. So it seems a little unnecessary to abstract that idea. Well, anyway, let's discuss that. 3168 is open for discussion. That's the issue where we're just talking about separating that update checking task from statistics tracking. A side effect of this would be we would remove the checkbox from the installer that says check for updates, and we would just always check for updates. But checking for updates wouldn't necessarily report your site as being active. So instead, we would replace that with a checkbox that says like report anonymous usage information to backdropcms.org, for example.
I am for removing the checkbox for the checking for updates thing and making it by default always check. But I would still like us to provide an option for people to opt out.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you want to turn off updating entirely, then you can just turn off update module.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
and I think that's that's fairly easy to to turn off as far as an option. Okay, and I don't think there's any other updates as far as better statistics tracking is concerned at this point. Is there any additional thing that I'm missing there? I don't think that we've made any other progress. Okay, and there's more issues. Check the GitHub issue tracker for the 1.11.0 issues. And of course, as always, if functionality just moves through the queue organically, we're always open to including more functionality besides those that are featured during these meetings.
Before we close, I would like to shamelessly flag 3155. It's a tiny issue, the one that adds the new info type for messages. I think it's like even the code is pretty harmless. It just adds a new type, and it would unblock me from cleaning up the messages.
Yeah, I'm not. Okay, yeah, okay. Looks like other people are already saying the same thing. That maybe it shouldn't be a little warning thing. It should be a little I. But it looks like you're already on it.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
You sure did. Yeah, great one. We should actually mention that.
Was this?
3155. I'm gonna prefix this with UX. We should mention this one during UX calls.
Yeah.
Okay, great suggestion. Do you think we should add that every week to the agenda, or do you think just the shout out is all?
I think it should be merged now, and we should not have it.
Let's add it to the usability meeting.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it'll be merged before the next one.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Jeff, are you interested in doing a Backdrop for Good update?
There's just a tiny update. We got some concrete information back from the partner, which looks like any movement on it won't be until the summer, but at least we got some concrete communication from them.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Anything anybody else would like to surface or discuss? Okay, then. I think that we are all done. Thank you, everybody. Wow, we got quite a crowd today. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you to all of our watchers out there on the internet. We will catch you guys on Gitter, on GitHub, and everywhere else on the internet. See you guys next week. Bye.